the Church of the Larger Fellowship and to talk about our Working Now prison ministry. The Church of the Larger Fellowship, Unitarian Universalist, is the official name of the congregation, and it's a mouthful, so we usually call it CLF. It has a long history. It goes way back before we had virtual anything, and it was started primarily for people in rural areas or small towns that were just not close enough to a brick and mortar UU church. But they communicated primarily by mail through their Quest magazine and by phone for pastoral care. Well, now we have online services. Our pastoral care can be phone or it can be video. We still have the Quest magazine. It's available online, but it can also be received by mail. And most important, any member of any UU congregation can participate in the prison ministry without joining the CLF. So, about the Working Now prison ministry. The CLF is the largest UU congregation in the United States with well over 3,000 members. Slightly more than half of our members are incarcerated, if you can believe that. We don't go into prisons and proselytize. People find us by word of mouth or the Quest magazine. There was one man who worked at one of the prisons and saw the Quest magazine in the waste paper basket and picked it up and thought, well, this is interesting. And so he joined us. You can get more information from the CLF website. Because Google is now using artificial intelligence, or as I sometimes call it, artificial stupidity. If you Google for Church of the Larger Fellowship, it won't be the first thing on the list. The first thing on the list will probably be the UUA website, and I think you could navigate to the CLF from there. But if you go down the list, you'll come to Quest for Meaning. That's the correct website. But anything I'm saying today, I put some cards on the table in that, and if you want to do anything with our prison ministry or you can't get on the website or whatever, just email me or call me, and I will email you the correct link. So, with the prison ministry, there are several ways that volunteers can help. The main one, or the one, I guess, that is most involved, is the pen pal program. We also send out holiday greetings in December to all our incarcerated members, if possible, whether or not they're in the pen pal program. We send birthday greetings, and I've heard some scuttlebutt about maybe that volunteers could help with some of the administrative work and find a way that they could do that without having to be in Boston, where our headquarters are. But I haven't heard any more details than that. About the pen pal program. There are lots of safety precautions in place to protect the free world pen pals. You have to live at least 3 states distance from your pen pal. So, for example, we're in Texas. We could not have a pen pal in New Mexico or Arizona, but we could have one in Nevada. Or it doesn't have to be in a straight line. It could go like Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri. My pen pal is in Missouri. The incarcerated pen pals only get our first names, the first name of the free world pen pals. And the way we addressed to my pen pal at the prisoner facility where he is, with the return address of the CLF in Boston. Then I put that size 8 envelope into a size 10 envelope with my real return address and the mailing address to the CLF. And they will remove the little envelope from the big envelope and forward it to the incarcerated pen pal. That process is reversed when he writes to me, except that, remember, all he has is my first name. So when he writes to me, the people in the office don't have anything they can forward right away. They have to look him up and cross-reference him with me and put in, add my last name and my address to the envelope, his size 8 envelope, before forwarding it to me. So this takes a lot of work, and it's not work that can be done with computers. The holiday greetings, you can volunteer to send 10 or more. You must use a design provided by the CLF, and it's pretty plain vanilla. Beth Murray, who runs the program, bless her heart, she's a volunteer, and I'm sure she works more than full-time on this. But each state's prisons and the federal prisons, they all have different criteria for what kind of mail can pass muster and be given to the incarcerated person. So she has come up with a formula that will pass muster anywhere. Consequently, it is pretty plain vanilla. It has to be on an 8.5 11 white piece of paper with black only printing, no color. She will send us around Christmas time 3 designs, and I'll show you what one looks like. So like I say, pretty plain vanilla. There's this little rectangular space down here where you write your first name only, and you can write a little sentence like, thinking about you at this time of year, something like that. You go ahead and address it directly to the prisoner at their facility, because all they're going to know is your first name and that this was postmarked in Houston. So we're not too worried about people, chasing us down. But if you're really uncomfortable, you can still send it to the CLF and have them forward. Now, for birthday greetings, they are similar, 8.5 by 11, black and white. And you join a team. And every month, all members of the team get a spreadsheet for that month, people who have birthdays that month. And they divide the list by the number of people on the team. So you don't always get the same number of people to send a birthday card every month. And you get the spreadsheet, and the first thing you do is check to be sure that they're still at the same address that we have. And if they are, then proceed as for holiday greetings. The Free World Pen Pals have a lot of support. We have Zoom meetings several times a year. We have a closed Facebook group, which is very helpful. We help one another. For more information, you can contact Beth Murray, and like I say, I'm not going to think that y'all are going to remember her email address, but just get one of my cards from the table and call me or email me if you're having trouble getting in touch. I think you could probably go to the website and just email, just in a general email, and it will be routed to them. I'd like to take a few moments to talk about some personal experiences of my own and so different from me, whose life has been so different and certainly is now so different because he's incarcerated. And it's not always a comfortable feeling, but I don't resent that. I think it's a growth opportunity for me. My pen pal, the last letter I got from him, it really brought tears to my eyes because he is so determined to improve himself. And he wants to get a college degree. He has already found a 2-year college that will accept him so he can get started there. He already started reading a book on his chosen field and has been corresponding with a professor to, who's saying, hey, you're getting it, you're understanding the material. And he should be released in January of this year. He'll have to go to a halfway house, and I think he'll be able to move back with his father. And fortunately, he has a father who's still living. The things that different pen pals get are just all over the map. When they find you a pen pal, the letter you get and the letter they get says, we have found you a match. I'm not sure match is the best word because some of the guys get the wrong end of the stick and think that this is like Match.com or something. And so to ward off anything like that, one of the first things I did when I knew something about my pen pal was to say, hey, I'm not much younger than your dad. But we had a woman in the Facebook group, and I don't want to tell too much about it because it is a closed group, but she had somebody who not only got the wrong end of the stick, but was not subtle about coming on. So in one of our last Zoom meetings, the man who was running the meeting said, sometimes you have to get the boundary lines set because half of you, your first letter is going to say, you got to get me out of here. And that's when you write a letter and let them know what you can do for them and what you cannot do for them. And I didn't notice the time when I started, but do I have some time? Yeah, so I can take some questions if anybody has questions. They fill up my whole time in Galveston with their questions. So think for a minute if you have any questions or comments. Jimmy?
What is their most common question?
Their most common question? Can you get me out of here? Or will you get me out of here? I think it's the most common. But, my pen pal, I'll get you in a second. My pen pal, unlike a lot of people, he knows how to write a proper, friendly letter, the way British people do. And my British friends anyway. And he goes through my letter and replies to every point that I made in order, even if it's only a sentence. But some of them, unfortunately, are not as well educated as he is, and that's very sad. Ron, you had something?
Yes. Is this something like the holiday cards or the birthday cards that the youth group could do at church?
I think the youth group could do it, but they need to know that they only write their first name, no personal details. They don't write where they live, they don't write how old they are, and they would have to be supervised, and some adult would then have to look over the cards that they filled out and be sure that they haven't set themselves up. That's what I think, but I still think you should get in touch with Beth Murray and ask her that question as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our
if they're interested, they are sent a package with information on Unitarian Universalism, and they have to pass a little test and join the church before they can get a pen pal or anything else. So that's when I talk about an incarcerated member, that's what I'm talking about. And did you have any of that? Yes, sir.
Do you know if there is a common denominator that leads them to be incarcerated? And if you do, what is it?
I don't know, and I don't think there is a common denominator. I know of one pen pal who's in a federal facility. The crime of which he was convicted has like less than 1% recidivism. If he's in a federal facility, it was not a violent crime. It wasn't rape or murder or assault, because those violate state laws, and he would have been in a state prison. But the guy in the federal prison, it may have been some kind of white collar thing. And apparently but in answer to your question, no, there is no common denominator. You've got people in for all different kinds of offenses. Some are multiple offenders, some are having some first time. Yeah.
I was thinking poverty might be a significant factor.
What?
Poverty.
Poverty, I'm sure, is a common denominator for quite a few. But it's not going to be a common denominator for everyone. Like, for example, the man I told you about who wants to get a college degree and, is in a federal facility. So I wouldn't assume that. If you get a pen pal, I wouldn't assume that. And they'll tell you what they want you to know about them. We don't ask, what are you in for? If it's a medical facility, I ask what's wrong with you. They can volunteer things, but we don't ask highly personal questions, at least until maybe we develop that kind of relationship. Some of the pen pals correspond back and forth about theology. Some of them, my pen pal writes to me about what's going on in his life and with his family. So you let them kind of set the pace. Ma'am, did you have any other? Yes. The question was, were there women in the program? And I probably should have been repeating all the questions for your video, YouTube, but in the back, Gary?
No, that's what I was just telling you, it's fine.
It's fine?
Yeah, you've got comments.
Okay. And then, gentleman in white shirt?
Two people that are released from the program actually find their way to the ministry.
Some of them do. Again, everybody's different. But there was someone in our Facebook group who recently wrote that, well, I guess we aren't as liberal as we think we are, because I was going to invite my pen pal to our church, and some of the people were leery about that because we have children in the congregation. Now, my own personal opinion, maybe she's not as liberal as she thought she was, because one of our principles is that we're all entitled to our own opinions and to express our concerns. And I think it's worth asking some more questions before bringing an ex-convict into a congregation with children. However, our lead minister also looks at the Facebook page, and he wrote to this woman to put him in touch with their minister, and he will work things out and pave the way. Jim?
I'll take a minute, just let me in
solitary confinement. And Blue Shirt, did you have your hand up in that?
Yeah, did you say that there were 3,000 members in the church?
Over 3,000.
How many prisoners are there right?
I don't know how many are running, but I can tell you that our incarcerated members slightly outnumber our free world members, including free world members of the church who are not in the pen pal program. They outnumber all free world members in our congregation of over 3,000. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
What would you say is an important pastoral skill to have? Because I know a lot of people would want to help, but what is a pastoral skill that's essential to support inmates?
Are you asking whether the incarcerated people can get pastoral care?
Well, you mentioned they can, so
Well, I don't know if they can. Okay, they might have to do it in writing. But we, free world members, can get pastoral care by phone or FaceTime or something like that. Melissa?
Just as a follow-up to this, does it feel like as a pen pal, you are sometimes called upon to offer a form of pastoral care?
I don't know that I have been called upon to offer pastoral care. However, once I let my pen pal know that I was almost as old as his father, his letters sort of changed tone. So instead of what do you do for fun, he would start asking my opinion about some things and my advice about some things. And if I have an opinion, or I think I know the right answer, I'll give it to him. Sometimes I just have to say, I can't answer that because I just don't have the knowledge to answer it. Oh, I have something else I meant to mention about Texas. Texas does have, we're a big state, and we have the largest number of incarcerated people in the state. But you might want to know that in some ways the Texas prison system is pretty enlightened. They recently gave every inmate an iPad or some kind of tablet. And I think that's super because they can keep in touch more with what's going on in the world. You know, someone who's been in 10, 15 years, they're going to be in for some big shocks when they get out. And also, there's a transgender woman, and the only prison that would give her the medicine she needed was a Texas prison. So I'm kind of proud of that. One thing that makes our pen pal mail slow is that all the mail now goes to one central P.O. box for all the units in Texas. And then they sort them out and send them to the units. So that's one more step in the process of then getting it to the CLO and then the CLO getting it to the inmate. Jan.
Okay, they have access to the Quest magazine, which I guess is a magazine from CMO.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have access to online reading services?
I think that's going to depend from one prison to the other. I know that my pen pal can listen to radio, and unfortunately, he listens to talk radio. So, but when he first wrote to me, he told me that they had a library of something like 300 DVDs that they could watch. Regular movies, I assume. I think, again, it's going to vary from state to state and within the federal system, and possibly even depending on, I don't know what other factors might be considered. Yeah. I do. Oh, I do have to tell you that. Jan says I have time for one more question. Okay, well, if you think of one later, my part, oh, I have one more comment. As mentioned by Melissa, I have often spoken here about my professional area and often speaking from my books, which are on those topics. I published in April a book that is somewhat of a divergence because it's a memoir about my father's experiences in the Navy in World War II. It's not a total divergence because he naturally practiced some of the skills that I teach, and I'll point that out in the book. I had ordered some author copies. I haven't got them yet. It is available on Amazon, and I put my own proof copy on the same table with my cards. So if y'all want to look through it, and if you want to have finding it on Amazon, take my card, get in touch with me, and I can help you do that. Because there are more than one book that have the main title, The Man in the Mirror. But mine has a subtitle, and it's easy to tell it from the other book covers because it's just a black and white picture of a sailor. So, anyway, thank you for allowing me to take a couple more minutes on that. And thank you all very much. I hope some of you will be joining us.